All right. Welcome back to Souhan Unfiltered at SouhanUnfiltered.com. The sports, sometimes music, sometimes entertainment podcast. Tonight we are live at O'Gara's Bar and Grill, as we are on most Friday nights, at least when I'm in town. I just got back from a long trip to spring training. My guest tonight, The Last Ride, local band, soon to not be local band. You guys are, how can you leave this beautiful winter wonderland for Nashville? How can you do that? So we have Tony Winkler, and we're going to do a little music later. We're going to talk a little sports. We're going to talk a little about life. But Tony, start me off telling me why you would leave Minneapolis. I mean, you know this is going to anger everybody who's listening. Why would you leave Minneapolis for Nashville?
Well, I love it here, first of all. But thanks for having us. But
I set you up badly, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, man.
I dogged you.
This is home for us, especially O'Gara's. We've played here a lot. I'm going down to Nashville to pursue some songwriting opportunities.
The whole band or just you?
Right now, a couple of us are down there already, and
okay.
I'm working on Chris to get down there.
What does that mean, Chris?
I don't know.
You waiting for the big bonus check?
Apparently.
Music hasn't been too kind on the pocketbooks for us, so...
Well, that's the subject I kind of want to get into tonight, too. I mean, we're going to talk some sports. We're going to kick around some other stuff, too. But I have this, as a human, as somebody who started off making $6 an hour in my business, I have this admiration for anybody who will just put yourself on the line and go into something you love, not knowing if it's going to pay off or not. And as a parent, it scares me to death. Because if my kids do it, they'll be like, you can't eat music. You got to have money to eat. Was it tough to get into this business? Was it tough to just say, I'm not going to go work a minimum wage job. I'm not going to go to college and just, go into whatever field my advisor recommends. Was it tough to choose music as a profession at this age? And you can both answer that.
I'll let Chris talk about his experience. He actually went to McNally Smith.
Okay, so you kind of did do what your advisor told you to
do. Yeah. Well, I can't tell how loud I'm talking, but I hope it's not too loud.
You're fine. I can hear you.
I started out. I went to McNally Smith, and I got my bachelor's degree in music. And there's about a 5-year spurt from my sophomore year of college till through the first year I was married, where all I did was play guitar. I played with the producing house. I played in multiple different bands, and I did about 40 lessons a week just to kind of make a living.
40 lessons a week?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
40 independent students. So, yeah, I was playing in 3 bands and then playing with 2 off-Broadway productions through the producing house. And I was the band leader for one of those. So, I don't know. I just kind of hit a point where I wanted to focus on creativity and the passion and not try to make money with music. So, I do work a day job.
Oh, you
right
do? So
now.
You do both?
Yes.
And do you mind saying what your day job is?
Yeah, I'm a client support manager with SAP.
Okay. So, and it's a typical 40-hour-a-week job?
Yeah, pretty much.
So 40 hours a week at your day job, and how many hours a week trying to make it in music?
It never ends, right? Nights, weekends.
Yeah.
It comes and goes in spurts, but I don't know, probably it could go anywhere from 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week maybe, Yeah,
that sounds, I don't know whether to... I think it's great you're doing it. I just wonder how hard it is, I mean, and then I think, in my job, I have weeks where I work 60 hours plus too, and I still go play with my band. So maybe, I mean, do you view it like that it's just, you're going to do it one way or another, whether it ends up being beneficial to you financially or not?
Yeah, I would definitely do it regardless of it being beneficial financially or not. I guess there's the philosophy of either you have a life because you have a job or you have a job because you have a life. And that's kind of my philosophy. I work to make money and then I do what I love. I mean, the job is a job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's Chris Nelson, guitarist. Tony Winkler is lead vocalist and also plays guitar. And Tony, are you working a day job too?
I definitely have a day job. Those 3 little girls out there, those are mine.
This is quite a crowd you brought tonight, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, is this a birthday party or something? Or?
This is they're meeting their friends here, the Nobles.
Awesome.
So they're eating some fish and fries and really getting into the St. Paul culture. But no, so I've definitely had a day job. So I'm going down there to pursue songwriting. I've met some contacts that have taken a liking to my writing and hope to work with them and see where it goes. We had ESPN picked up our song for the College Baseball World Series. It was a theme song for that last summer, and then they also picked up our song for College Game Day. And but the type of payment we're receiving from that definitely isn't going to support a family.
Right.
So music's something, whether I was making money for it or not, I'd be playing. I've played here a lot on Friday night.
Right.
I would be playing here locally, whether I was making a living at it or not, just for the love of it. So hopefully I get an opportunity to expand that down there, but if not, I'll always play for the joy of it. So
the other artists I've had on the podcast, Gary Loris from the Jayhawks. I've known some guys from the Jayhawks since the early 90s. And their band it's a great band. They've had national publicity. They've done worldwide tours. They have, they've had hits. They've had advertisers pick up their music and cut them a big check for doing so. And yet, you talk to Gary, and he sounds a lot like you guys. It's like, well, I want to. I kind of maybe I need to move to L.A. so I can be around a place where if you write a song, somebody will buy it and put it in a movie. And I'm not sure what the Jayhawks are going to make. I mean, it's amazing the level of success. It's amazing how good you can be in your business, and not necessarily benefit from it financially.
Yes, that is so accurate. I've met some very, very talented people that I'm just in awe of their talent, and it's very hard to make a go at it. Especially you talk trying to raise a family on music. Yeah. It's just one of those. I think it's one of those businesses that's oversaturated with amazing talent.
Yeah,
and everyone is willing to do something for free to get a break. For example, when we've had a few opportunities. We were on picked up on Country Dance 2 next to Lady Antebellum and Jason Aldean for the Nintendo Wii and Xbox. And what you get is, hey, we love your song. We think you're great. But we need you to sign your rights away because, we just don't have the kind of money to pay you.
Right.
And so then they basically get aspiring artists who are all itching to get some exposure and get their music out and get heard to basically do it for little to nothing. And if you say no, there's 20 other people that are waiting to do it for free. So
yeah, that's exactly the problem. To finish the introduction of the show, this is Souhan Unfiltered. You can find it all at SouhanUnfiltered.com. You can also find it at Souhan-Unfiltered at iHeartRadio, or subscribe through iTunes, and the shows will be delivered to your inbox. Wednesday night did Michael Russo at the Local. This Monday coming up, Quincy Lewis, the Gopher basketball star, who now is an NBA analyst, will be with me at Kieran's Irish Pub. We also have some new sponsors coming along. So we have O'Gara's, the Local, Kieran's, just signed up with Minnesota Eye Consultant, and with Guinness. So we are adding sponsors, and if anybody out there wants to sponsor us, just like a band, we'll take all the financial support we can get. Get a hold of me. You have my email address. This is part of the Alive and Social Network. I know you guys have been involved with that at times. Let's switch to a little bit of sports talk here before we get back to music, and we're going to have you guys play some songs at the end. Again, we're at O'Gara's on a Friday night. So I sense that you're Viking fans. I mean, you said you're sports fans, but I sense you're really Viking fans.
Definitely.
Yes.
Lifelong Vikings fans.
And what's that like? Just how painful is that?
That's like going to the getting a root canal every Sunday. No, that's not true. But
actually,
the 98 loss to the Falcons.
It's amazing how fast the 98. It's like I got a guy in my building. I live in an apartment building downtown in Minneapolis, and the guy who handles the maintenance, I don't know exactly what his title is. Great guy, really good at his job. And we're standing there talking. He finds out I'm a sports writer one day. We're talking. And he said, "Oh yeah, I haven't watched the Vikings since '98." It's like immediately every Viking fan of this generation goes to 98. I think just like Vikings fans of the previous generation went to Super Bowl losses.
Yes. So I go to that, and then that loss to the Saints. Man, but when that 98 team, the offense was amazing.
It was.
And I really thought that was our time. And the Falcons, they got blown out by the Broncos. I think we would have taken it to the Broncos.
Well, yes and
maybe.
No. Yes and no, because I covered that team. I do think that was it was either Denver or Minnesota was the best team in football that year. It probably would have been a hell of a Super Bowl. I think the Vikings at full strength probably beat the Broncos that year. The problem was the Vikings got so beat up in that game against the Falcons, I'm not sure they would have put up a good fight against the Broncos. Now, the full-strength Vikings that year should have beaten everybody, but they had suffered so many key injuries. And that's one of the reasons they lost in overtime. They were down to nothing by the time the game was decided. I'm not sure the beat-up Vikings squad of that year wins that Super Bowl, but you would have liked to see them get a chance.
Yeah,
that was one of the most. I mean, that was one of the most amazing teams I've ever been around. I still can't believe they lost that game.
Yeah, that's painful. And the Saints won, but I'm optimistic with the team. I like Zimmer.
I do too.
And I like where the defense is going. And I'm a big. I like Bridgewater.
I do too.
We got to figure out our running back position.
Yes, although it's such a luxury position in the new NFL.
Yeah,
I mean, you want, and it really depends on the kind of team you are. I mean, it's amazing how many cliches get propagated in the NFL to the point where they kind of shut off thought. And it's like for the last 5-6 years, people have been saying running back position's overvalued. Running back position's overvalued. Well, yes and no. It depends on what kind of style you're trying to play. If you're in a passing system or if you're going to use 3 backs, then the individual running back isn't that important. But the Seahawks are who they are in large part because of Marshawn Lynch, the way he wears down defenses, his running style. The Cowboys had their breakthrough this year because they built an offensive line and ran the ball to Marco Murray. So it depends. And the Vikings, Adrian, I don't think having a running back like Adrian Peterson benefits you much when you're just not very good. You can't just win a game with a running back because defenses can take that away. But if you have other things going on, like they did in 2012 with just competent quarterback play and a good defense, then the running back can make a difference.
Is Greenway, is he coming back?
I think they're going to be asking him to take some kind of a pay cut. I think there will be some negotiations there. One of my podcasts last season was with Chad, and he made it pretty clear that he will not turn down any reasonable offer. He wants to finish with the Vikings. He values being a lifelong Viking. He lives the western suburbs here. He wants to be here. So I think it's one of those situations where if their offer to him doesn't insult him, I think he comes back. And I hope so. For 2 reasons. One, I think very highly of him. I think he's a very important guy in the locker room, very important guy for the defense. The other thing is, remember the Miami Dolphins game last year? Did you guys watch that one? As soon as Greenway got hurt.
I did watch that one.
Sorry about that. Sorry to bring that one up. As soon as Greenway got hurt, the Dolphins went nuts offensively. Yeah. As soon as Greenway left the field, that's when the Vikings had probably their most embarrassing defensive outing of the season. They just lost. They got beat by running backs. They got beat by tight ends. They couldn't cover anybody. They started getting silly penalties. So I think you can't keep somebody past his ability to perform physically, but as long as Greenway can perform physically, I would like to see him on this team.
Well, we haven't had any off-field issues lately. Like we've had between the Love Boat and some of the other fun escapades.
Not too bad lately. There's always something. I mean, Linval Joseph, they sign a free agent, and Linval Joseph goes out to a club, actually not that far from my apartment building, gets shot in preseason last year. So, that wasn't really his fault, but it is a typical thing to happen to a Viking. But, there hasn't been a Whizzinator or a Love Boat lately. I say anything that doesn't rise to the level of sneaking a Whizzinator through airport security or having a sex party on a boat in front of college girls who are hired to serve drinks. I think anything that doesn't rise to that level, it's okay if you're a Viking.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny, too. It's so funny because the 2 teams I've covered the most in my life have been the Vikings and the Twins. I came here to cover the Vikings, and then I covered the Twins as a beat writer. And if the Twins have any kind of an off-field problem, I remember once, I think it was Liriano got a DUI in spring training, and Terry Ryan calls this press conference and brings Liriano in and has him apologize. Terry apologizes on behalf of the organization. Liriano apologizes on behalf of himself and for his teammates. And everybody's just up there just moping and, I can't believe we let our fans down like this. In the NFL, if it's not murder, it's just not that big a deal. It's just not. I mean, think about it. Adrian Peterson, beat a kid, and I think most Viking fans want him back. Greg Hardy had a domestic violence assault charge that everybody believes is true, and I guarantee somebody's going to sign him as a free agent. The NFL, it's just about winning. It just is. And it's about winning unless, as we saw last fall, sponsors start running away from the team, and then the business side jumps in and acts. Other than that, they just want to win games. And given the short length of careers, the demand place on the general manager and the coach to win or get fired, I get it. It's not the prettiest thing in the world to observe, but I get it.
So do you have any thoughts for us big Vikings fans who they may take in the draft? Or what they think they need?
I think where they're picking, which is 11th, and Spielman likes trading on draft day. So it's one of the reasons I don't spend a ton of time speculating, is because you end up speculating for 4 months on what they're going to do, and then they make 2 trades on draft day and they end up drafting Teddy Bridgewater. You don't know what they're going to do. But I think a logical guy for where they're picking at 11 would be Devontae Parker, the receiver who played with Teddy at Louisville. Teddy has vouched for him. He's got talent. They have chemistry, which is a big deal. Now, when you're 11, as we've seen in past Vikings drafts, usually somebody you don't expect falls to you. I mean, let's face it. They got Peterson at 7. They never expected to have a chance at him. They got Moss at 21. Never expected to have a chance at him. They got Harvin at either 21 or 22. Never expected to have a chance at him. They got Bridgewater at 31 or 32. They never expected to have a chance at him. So I think Devontae Parker's a logical guy, but if like Kevin White slips or a great defensive tackle slips, they'll be all over it. And that's why I could see Spielman trading up if he sees a prime guy there at like 9 or 8. I could see him trading up. Even more likely, I could see him saying, "Well, Devontae Parker's a nice player, but he's not all world. He does, he's not going to transform the franchise. If I can trade down and get an extra second round pick, all of a sudden I'm strengthening 2 or 3 positions at a place where I wasn't going to get a superstar anyway." I really could see Spielman trading either up or down depending on how the first 5-6 picks go in the draft.
Do you have any insight with who Cordero's studying with this offseason?
Well,
because Parker would be a ballsy pick after trading up for Patterson.
And Patterson's he's fascinating, isn't he? Because he's got all the talent in the world, and Bill Musgrave got fired pretty much because he wasn't willing to force feed the ball to Cordero Patterson. They bring in Norv Turner. They rave about Norv Turner. Mike Zimmer, that's his guy. And what do? They decide not to force feed the ball to Cordero Patterson. It's fascinating. And pretty much this coaching staff said, we're not going to do the easy things for you. We're not going to just give you the ball in bubble screens and handoffs and pitches. We want you to learn how to be a big-time receiver. And basically, he failed. He failed at that. So now they go into the offseason basically warning him that he better learn the position. He better do these things if he wants to make it in the NFL. And nobody knows if he's mature enough. He's not a bad guy. He's a nice kid. But he's just goofy. He's a 12-year-old. He's a guy who just wants to go play video games.
It's kind of like Chris.
Yeah, I like Chris. I was going to make that comparison, but I don't know him well enough to get away with it. He is wearing an Aerosmith T-shirt, which is kind of
he likes
that
Aerosmith.
kind of a thing. I do too, but I still took a
That was
shot.
my bachelor party. I saw Aerosmith when they came through.
That's awesome.
Now, do your listeners know that you're a musician?
They probably do, because we've done some podcasts here before my band has played. A few Friday nights, what we've done is podcast, my band playing as a warm-up act to live karaoke. So we've done that a couple times. My band, but I've been traveling for the last 2.5 weeks in spring training, so we have not been practicing, and we're not good enough to play without practicing. We need to be tight. So we're going to try to get back in the practice space and gear up and maybe play some places this summer. Maybe play back here too.
What about the Southside Studios?
That's a possibility too, and So with the Alive and Social Network, we have leased a house south side of Minneapolis. We're calling it the Southside Studios. All kinds of possibilities there. We might end up doing a sports video show. We're going to have some bands there. We're going to have the Southside Sessions where bands come and play there, and we live stream it. I play in a cover band. It's probably better for a bar situation, getting people dancing, having fun like that. But who knows? Maybe we'll do some hybrid shows there.
Nice.
Do you do many covers?
We'll do covers. The bars all want 4 hours worth of covers, so
I know.
We've definitely know over 100 songs probably, but that's not what our focus is or goal. Right. Obviously, like every musician wants to play their own stuff, but we play quite a few covers.
What's the cover you hate the most? Because I know in my band, my band members and other people I know, and people who come see the band are like, "Oh, you got to play this song." I'm like, "But I hate that song." What's the worst cover you have to play? Or your ass?
Well, I would say it gets, since we play country rock, I would say Chicken Fried and Friends in Low Places. The level of intoxication, as that rises, the more that song's requested. Yes. And sometimes you get requested to play it 2 or 3 times a night.
I was in a band called Good Vibrations. It was super short-lived, but it was during my McNally days, and the band was stacked. Everybody in it was absolute killer musicians, and that's when Red Solo Cup came out.
Oh, good Lord.
And everybody wanted it, and it was so painful to play.
Yes.
That's my worst cover experience, playing that every gig.
And I had that conversation last time we played here. Is like the live karaoke band comes on afterward, and they played Summer of '69.
Oh yeah.
And 8 people around me, and one person in my band said, "Oh, we got to learn that. We got to learn how to play it." I'm like, "But I'll never play it live. I will never play that song live." And in my last band, my previous iteration, we had a excellent guitarist named John Hyde, who's now playing in his own band, and he basically had a list of 800 songs he would not play. He's a music snob, and I mean that in the best way.
A list of 800 he wouldn't play?
Yeah, he really is a music snob. I mean, he's the kind of guy, you could ask him who played bass for Grand Funk Railroad on their debut album, and he would know the guy's middle name. He's just one of those guys. And Brown Eyed Girl, he would not play Brown Eyed Girl. And he would not play Margaritaville. So you have this. You do, even when you're just an upstart cover band like mine, you do have this pull between what is guaranteed to get half of your audience rowdy and what you actually picked up a guitar in the first place to actually play. Do you feel that pressure? You're going out to Nashville to do some songwriting. Do you feel the pressure to produce something that's a hit, regardless of whether you love it or not?
At times, it's kind of a challenge when you're trying to climb. I've written some songs that are very personal, but that's not what would fly on the radio, for example. So there's kind of a balance of kind of writing some songs that are more personal, and then also more ones that are I guess more universally accepted, and there's definitely country radio, especially. They have kind of a formula that they're looking for, it seems.
Yes.
And it's been a challenge.
Yeah. What's these? I mean, my band has played in front of 8 people before. What's the smallest crowd you played for?
Oh God!
Tell them the driveway story after. Last year.
Yeah. So we opened for Lady Antebellum.
Awesome.
To a sold-out arena at the U.S. Cellular Center.
Wow.
And the following week, 6 days later, we played for a kid party in Edina for maybe 5 or 6 adults and about 100 kids, right in the garage.
But at least they're bodies.
There were bodies, but I've played for 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
In bars. Absolutely. We used to play. Do you remember the Casa Vieja on West 7th?
I don't.
It was country music and tacos.
Well, who could argue?
It was like, yeah,
country and tacos.
Come get. It was on West 7th.
Mexico's a country.
It used to be Parrish's Supper Club.
Okay, I know.
Then it changed over to Casa Vieja, and it was country music and tacos on. I don't know if it was on Wednesday nights or whatever it was, but you were playing to nobody there. The wait staff.
Of course, I'm a Springsteen guy, and I've also read a lot of music history. I actually took a couple of classes on history of popular music, history of rock and roll in college. So the reality is, Springsteen has played for 3 people, and the good ones are somehow able to inspire themselves into playing well in front of 3 people, And you talk about having to go the starving artist route. I also know that if Born to Run had not been a hit, he would have been just playing in bars his whole life. That was Columbia Records was about to dump him, and Born to Run becomes a hit. His first 2 albums didn't sell anything. He was a regional artist. He was almost going to just be a Jersey Shore troubadour if he didn't have that hit album.
Man, I'm a huge Springsteen fan. But you know what? Speaking of some of those gigs, is a lot of times we've been set up on the floor while they're dancing. And so this has happened several times. Is the more people start the drinking and get the party going, they'll start running into us. And while you're singing, your teeth are touching the microphone.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a pretty good pop. It's not quite a hockey shot, but it's a pretty good bump to the teeth.
And wearing a mouth guard is not an option. It's really not. Although Minnesotans would like that.
Yeah.
We're up wearing a hockey helmet and a mouth guard. They wouldn't care how well you sang. I think we got a gimmick
exactly.
here. Yeah, and you could sing the Zamboni song.
Right.
You know? Who are your favorite artists?
Well, mine would be, I'm a big Waylon Jennings fan.
Yeah.
I like Willie Nelson. I like all the older stuff. I'm a big Springsteen fan. His writing's ridiculous. Of the current acts out there right now, I'm a big Eric Church fan.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's on a different level. And I like Steve Earle.
I love Steve Earle.
I was a big Steve Earle fan, and
I also love Steve Earle in The Wire. Have you ever seen that? He plays a great character in The Wire. Which is a great TV show, and it was just like they said, hold it, we have this guy, we have this character. Oh, hold it, this character is Steve Earle. We might as well get Steve Earle to play him, and he's fantastic.
What about you, Chris?
Such a loaded question, and I get that all the time because I'm a musician.
It's a podcast. We can talk for 5 hours.
Yeah,
you can
let's
be 100
do it.
if you want.
Honestly, I kind of gone through phases in my life. I think when I was, Randy Rhoads was a guitar player for Ozzy.
Yeah.
And in high school, that's what got me interested in guitar.
He's really good.
He was really good.
He's really, and I love the harder edge guitarists who play melodically. He plays this great, catchy, hooky melody. His leads are really catchy.
Yes. So that really got me in, and then, I went through a whole Metallica phase. And then when I got into college, I went through a big instrumental phase, listened to a lot of Joe Satriani, a lot of Guthrie Govan. And lately, just being immersed in kind of popular music, country, and acoustic and stuff like that, I usually just listen to Beethoven symphonies.
Wow.
In my own time, because I just can't take another pop song. I just can't take it. I love it, and I love playing it, but I get my fill of it performing, so
that's your palate cleanser.
When I listen to music, I listen to a lot of classical.
That's awesome. I listen to Beethoven's. I listen to a lot of Beethoven when I'm on the road and need to get to sleep, or when I'm on a plane and just kind of have to chill out a little bit. That's my get away from TV, movies, popular music thing, is listening to some Beethoven.
Yeah. When you listen to so many 3-minute mass-produced songs, to listen to a 45-minute piece of music, just kind of resets your brain a little bit, I think.
And how do you guys consume music in this day and age? I mean, for me now, I don't listen to music much at home anymore. Like, if I want to hear music at home, I'll usually go to the TV and pop on something I've downloaded, a documentary or a music concert or something like that, a concert, something like that. I tend to listen to music more in my car, on planes, and on the road. How about you guys? Like Pandora is my big thing. I love Pandora.
Yeah. I do a lot of streaming. I do Pandora streaming. You can pick an artist and kind of stream stuff in that vein. I do actually own a couple thousand records, so every once in a while I like to just put records on. But
I have two kids who love vinyl, who just, they went through my record collection. I said, just take it. And they keep it. They have record players. They will listen to it. They love that warm, fuzzy sound.
Yes.
Well,
there's a lot of stuff's coming out, remastered and re-released on vinyl too.
Yeah.
So you can listen to classic albums on vinyl. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Well, I get inundated with 3 little girls. Taylor Swift
socks.
is it's on nonstop every day, and I just can't believe how much their little gal pals are into Taylor Swift. It's mind-boggling to me.
Now, has that made you appreciate Taylor Swift as an artist, or has it made you hate Taylor Swift's guts?
I appreciate her talent.
And it's a smart thing to say, because she listens to the podcast. She's very powerful. So.
She's the biggest fan.
Yeah.
No, her songwriting speaks for itself. It's really good. And these girls, all of their buddies know all the lyrics, and they sing at the top of their lungs, and it's cute.
Are the girls into Frozen?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
See, and that's where I have an advantage on you. How old are your girls now?
9, 7, and 4.
Wow. See, I think I grew up in the golden age of kid movies that were actually fun for adults to see. The Toy Story movies are funny. The Little Mermaid was actually a really funny song with actually good music in it. I gave you like 8 movies that I went to thinking, oh God, I got to go see a kid movie, and I ended up laughing or enjoying it. I'm not going to say this very loud because your daughters might be listening. I'm sure they're going to go home and listen to the podcast as well, because that's what 9-year-old girls do.
Oh, they're nuts about podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the new wave because of this.
They're downloading them on iTunes.
So don't tell them I said this.
I won't.
But I thought Frozen was really overrated.
Yeah.
Really boring. It was like there were no moments that made me laugh as an adult. I thought it was really just kind of tired storytelling.
Never seen it.
It was the song. It was
And the song wasn't good either.
He's lying. He's seen it 10 times.
Go ahead, sing a few bars for us.
He's the creeper that's watching. He's going into the theaters.
Do you want a snowman? Right? Is that how it goes?
Go ahead. You can sing that whole song if you like.
Yes. No, I've only seen spoofs of Frozen. I've never seen the movie.
That is kind of the way modern society works. I can't tell you how often I've gotten to know a movie or a TV show or a song or an artist more through the satire than from actually experience it myself. You know, it's like I'll watch something, I'll see Saturday Night Live, or I'll see something on YouTube, or I'll see I'll see something on Twitter, somebody making fun of something, and that's how I'll be introduced to whatever the art form is. So let us all get to the point where satirists want to come after us. That will mean that we have made it in some way. Now, I just got back from spring training. You guys you mildly interested in the Twins?
Oh, no. I'm a big Twins fan.
Okay.
No.
Why not?
I went to Target Field probably a year or two ago, and it was the game where that guy almost pitched a no-hitter. I think they got like one hit the entire game.
Uh-huh.
It was the longest 3 hours of my life, and I've never watched a game since.
Well, you should have been drinking more beer. It's a great place to see a ball game.
It is.
I love the
Twins.
Twins.
A no-hitter, though. When somebody throws almost a no-hitter on the home team, that's tough.
I love that. That's drama. That's why you go to the baseball. I mean, baseball is not a sport where the home team's going to win 80% of its games. The home team's going to win. A good home team's going to win 60% of its games, and sometimes you're going to get no hit. I love that. It's funny. Sports writers, especially beat writers, the guys who are on the daily grind, they don't want to see a no-hitter thrown, especially in a tight deadline situation, because it's going to create a tremendous amount more work for them. And I'm always like, give me the no-hitter, no matter which team throws it. It's a great story. It's great drama. I've covered a couple of no-hitters. It's fantastic. So, and I go to a ball game hoping to see something interesting, no matter who does it. And I'm okay with the opposing team hitting 4 homers or pitching a no-hitter, because that's drama. I'll take it.
Well, so I've been a long-time Twins fan, and my issue is, it seems in the last several years, I want to see some fire back in there.
And you're absolutely right about that.
As a fan up here, it feels like if one of our players gets beamed, it feels like it's like no one's going to take their back, and it just doesn't have that firepower that. When they won the World Series, it seemed like those guys were a real unit that kind of there was some fire there. No, it wasn't a milquetoast type vibe. Is that accurate?
That's absolutely accurate, and I think that's changing now, having just got back from spring training. In fact, a couple of recent podcasts I did with Torrey Hunter and Eddie Guardado, and they talked about that on the record. Hey, this team has been lax. This team has been very soft. That's got to change. And not only the 87-91 teams, which are easy to celebrate because they won the World Series, and they earned that celebration, but the early 2000 Twins. And sometimes I'll have people, casual fans or people who weren't that into it, or people don't understand why those teams are so honored, will ask me, why do you guys celebrate a team that didn't win the World Series, a team that didn't get the World Series? I said because that team was almost contracted, or at least reputedly almost contracted, almost disappeared from the face of the earth, and had lost 8 straight seasons. And this group of players that really wasn't all that talented played their asses off, played for each other, played above their means, and almost went to one World Series and won division titles and staged incredible comebacks and kind of reinvented baseball in Minnesota and led to the Twins getting a new stadium. And that's what did it. And when that core group, Przinsky, Guardado, Minkiewicz, not the most talented guys in the world, when those guys went elsewhere, the team kept winning to a certain extent, but it lost fire until we had what we had the last 4 years. It was just a boring, lifeless, non-competitive team. And now with Hunter and Guardado back in the clubhouse, with some young players coming up who are going to be stars and play with a lot of fire. I don't know when it's going to happen, but you're going to see a hellacious team on the field sometime soon.
Well, I can't wait. So I grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which now is their A team.
Yeah, I went down there 2 summers ago to see Buxton.
So is it? So my buddies were texting me and just going, is it as advertised?
The place or Buxton?
Buxton.
Yeah. I've done like 4 major stories on him. I've been following him. So I went to Cedar Rapids to see him 2 summers ago. Then I spent an off season with him. Went to his workout place in Atlanta. Saw where he lives in Atlanta. He's from Baxley, Georgia, this tiny Georgia town. And his agent basically had him move to Atlanta to work out with a specialist, like baseball specialist, all winter long. So he's doing the right kind of weight training. He was taking batting practice every day. And sorry, Chris. Sorry the headphones don't work. So I'll try to speak a little more loudly here.
All good.
And the kid's a workaholic. He's a great kid. Very, very calm. A lot of fire, but very calm. Incredible speed. One of the fastest baseball players I've seen maybe since Willie Wilson.
Whoa.
Probably going to be one of the best center fielders you've seen since Devon White. I think he will hit. Really, you talk about the 5 tools in baseball. When somebody says a 5-tool player, and there aren't many of them. McCutchen and Trout might be the only 2 in baseball right now, and they're both MVPs. Run, he's at the top of the charts. Throw, top of the charts. He threw like a 98-mile-an-hour fastball as a high school pitcher.
98-mile-an-hour fastball?
Yeah.
Kidding me?
Yeah, he has a tremendous arm. Hit, yes, he's going to hit. I think he's going to hit, be a 300 hitter. Field, he's going to be top of the charts fielder. He's going to be a Gold Glover. And then hit for power is the one question mark. Some scouts project him to be like a 15 to 18 home run guy a year, which it ain't bad if you're doing all the other things well. And some think that as his body fills out, he gains some muscle. As he learns how to handle Major League pitching, he could hit 20, 25, 30, something like that. So I really think unless something weird happens here, you're talking about somebody who might be a lot like Andrew McCutchen, who's one of the 5 best players in baseball. And if he adds the power element, then maybe he approaches Mike Trout. I don't want to compare him to Mike Trout. Mike Trout's the best player in the game. But if everything goes well, without setbacks, if he stays healthy, he was hurt all last year, he's going to be a top 10 player in the majors. Maybe a top 5 player. And he's a great kid.
Wow, that's encouraging to hear.
And the other guy who I think is destined for stardom is Miguel Sano. 270 pounds, almost all muscle. Like Kenneth Vargas is fat. He's just a fat guy. He's like Herbeck. He's a fat guy who knows how to use his fat as leverage, which is kind of the old school baseball way. Those guys used to have bellies and use them, whether pitchers or power hitters, used to use them as leverage. Sano's muscle. He looks like a defensive end. He looks like, when I first started covering John Randall with the Vikings, Miguel Sano is built like John Randall.
Wow.
Massive thighs, massive rear end, can run, fast, agile. He's going to hit 30 home runs. He's going to drive in runs. He's going to hit for a decent average. The question with him is fielding. Is he going to be a good enough third baseman to stay at third base? Or are they going to have to move him around? Will he be an average defender? Will he be a less than average defender? That's the question with him.
What about how's the pitching?
The pitching should be better this year. Santana's a pro. Gibson should be a little bit better. Nolasco can't be as bad as he was last year. I think he came in lazy and a little hurt last year, and he's a lot thinner this year. I don't think he's going to be great, but I think he'd be okay, and okay would be a major upgrade. Then you have Phil Hughes. I don't know if Phil pitches as well as he did last year. I think he'll be okay. And then you'll have, I hope, Alex Myers, the 5th starter. Then you have Barrios, who's climbing the ladder fast. He could be in the majors at some point this year. And then they have a lot of very powerful arms and A-ball who probably aren't ready yet, but will probably serve them well in the next 2-3 years. So, this year's going to be the transition year they're waiting for, and then I think by next year or the year after, I think you're looking at one of the better teams in baseball. It help. You always have the caveat in sports, help willing, if those guys are healthy.
Right. Well, Dozier's supposed to be, isn't he a musician?
He plays guitar. Phil, I know, like Blackburn used to play guitar. They had a lot of guitarists come through town. I think Dozier's playing these days. There are a couple other guys in there who play guitar too. I can't remember who the other guys are though. And it's funny. It's amazing how much. And you guys seem like kind of chill guys. You'll probably appreciate this. There was a time when if you were a music star or an athletic star, you probably partied your ass off. It was just what you did. And there were really not many drawbacks because you didn't have to be up early in the morning, and people didn't have cell phones and didn't carry cameras with them and didn't have Twitter and Instagram to capture everything you did in a bar. Now, Joe Mauer won't go out to a bar. He doesn't want to get swamped, if he goes to a place he knows he can sit in the back room or the staff will kind of protect him. Dozier doesn't want to go out and sign 85 autographs between courses. So he'll sit in his hotel room and play guitar. Mauer will play video games. Not many of the recognizable guys really want to spend a lot of time out where they're going to get swamped. So they find things they can do in their hotel room that won't get them in trouble. So, when you guys become bigger stars than you are now, be careful about that. Be careful about putting yourself in compromising situations where people can snap photos of you. Like podcasts, stuff like that,
Yeah, exactly. Well, now that we're on the podcast, I don't know if I can go to the grocery store
I
tomorrow.
wouldn't.
You know what I mean?
Well, wear the disguise. That's why I have this bald thing on. I'm wearing a fake bald spot just to protect me from the masses. It's
very nice.
Ingenious disguise. It works everywhere.
Very nice.
Well, I do want to hear you guys play a couple songs, so why don't we have you set up, play a couple songs here live for the podcast, and then we'll come back and talk a little more sports, a little music, and wrap things up.
Sounds great.
Good?
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
So where do you want me? How can I help you? I'll hand in my headphones, first of all.
All right.
We're going to switch some headphones. They're picking up their guitars. A Taylor and a Martin. And here's the other thing. Don't leave your Taylor and your Martin unattended for too long tonight. I know someone who might steal one or both. I might be related to someone who might steal one or both.
Okay.
In fact, that person might just be me. So I'm a little guitar envious here. Anything I can do to help you set up here? You good?
We're good, man.
Okay. All right. So you have the mic. You take over now.
All right. We're going to do an original song called You Never Know that we haven't played out in a long time, but I think these guys right here
and I will.
Appreciate it.
We don't have a PA here tonight, so I will just kind of announce you guys here real quickly.
So this song kind of sums up my life. You never know. Yep. Spend most of my life on what I should do. Should I take the second bed or say the sun through? Sane on come, sane on go. What about things that can't come true? I'm taking my shot, never looking back. What's in front of me won't last too long. Southbound to Arizona, you never know, just never know, yeah. Where I go, somebody's taking shots. Can't wait to pull out on my phone. Years from now, when the story gets told, you remember when that boy got so bold. I'm taking my shots, never looking back. What's in front of me won't last too long. Southbound to Arizona, you never know, just never know, yeah. Southbound to Arizona, never know, never know. Take my shots, never looking back. What's in front of me last too long. I've seen them come, I've seen them go, boy. You never know, you never know. I'm taking my shots, I'm never looking back, yeah. I'm taking my shots, never looking back. What's in front of me won't last too long. Southbound to Arizona, you never know, just never know. I'm taking my shots, never looking back at what's in front of me. Won't last too long. Southbound to Arizona, you never know, just never know, yeah.
That's awesome. Sounds really good. What's your next? Yeah, everybody clap.
All right.
Name of the band is Blessed Ride.
So we are going to do a song called Tree Town. 102.9 is the main sponsor for it. And last year was its first year. They're trying to compete with like a Wii Fest. Really cool. In fact, they got a bunch of.
Now, where are they hosting it?
It's 2 hours straight south of the Twin Cities, right on the Iowa-Minnesota border. It's in a town right on the Iowa side called Forest City.
Oh, cool.
It's where Winnebago, the RV company's headquartered.
Beautiful.
So they're the sponsor. So there's it's camping. It's 3 days of straight music, and they got a bunch of big acts coming in. So we're honored to get to be on the main stage for Rascal Flatts.
That's awesome.
And I just learned for all the sports fans out there, I guess they have they're getting a lot of Gophers and Hawkeyes back there. They have Dallas Clark and Jared DeVries, and they're trying to get some former Gophers to come down and kind of
awesome.
Be in their VIP tent or whatever.
That'd be great. That's a question I should have asked earlier when I asked what's the smallest crowd you ever played for? What's the biggest crowd you guys have ever played for?
Well, I would say the Lady Antebellum was that was the U.S. site, so I don't know what the total count was there, but one of the coolest things we've ever done was we were the second band at Target Field to get to play on the right below the Budweiser deck, so I think it was Trampled by Turtles.
Yeah.
And then we got to play there. So obviously they weren't there to see us, but as a big baseball fan, that was really cool.
Yeah.
They let us play 6 songs.
That's awesome.
And then they pipe you through, the loudspeakers. And
I love what they're doing. I love the fact they're having concerts at Target Field. I love the fact they have music in that setting.
Yes.
And it's I made a band. I have to admit this. I made a band mad at me.
You did?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name. But a band played, and it was like the end of last season, I believe. And, the team's in the tank, very small crowd. And they had a band play, and it's a very talented. I didn't insult the band. The band was very talented, but it was like a kind of a moody, atmospheric, dark music, kind of like sit in the dark with a candle kind of music,
Yeah.
So I kind of wrote. I wrote. Okay, here you have this.
Yeah.
Here you have this bad team. Oh, it's bad team, constant rain delays, and the band you have playing is kind of writing about depressing topics.
Death and darkness.
Death and darkness. And I'm like, you might have wanted to have a little pop. You might have wanted a little pop, or have them play something poppier. And so the band got mad at me and sent me their album, like, autographed. Hope you enjoy this one, Jim. So let's hope I never tick you guys off that way. And that's a perfect way to introduce your new song, I think.
All right, dude.
So Tree Town?
Yeah, this is, yeah. Here we go. Ready? Yeah. I've been working nights and weekends, keep thinking, daydreaming about that setting sun in the field with the music rocking and the ice cold beer. We were dancing side by side with the coolest chicks a country boy could find. I can't believe it's almost time to get on down to Tree Town. We can live free then, rocking all night long through the weekend. Pop a top on Friday night, we won't stop till the morning light. I've been waiting for that music, throwing back, let's get right to it. Let's roll down that highway now, get on down to Tree Town. Crowd keeps swaying, dancing, singing, music ringing. I'm a feeling that this night will never end. Take it back to the campsite and do it again. Yeah. Singing those old country songs in a lawn chair, 30 voices strong. Keep us rocking through the night to get on down to Tree Town. We can live free then, rocking all night long through the weekend. Pop a top on Friday night, we won't stop till the morning light. I've been waiting for that music, throwing back, let's get right to it. Let's roll down that highway now, get on down to Tree Town. We're singing, whoa, 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 let's go to Tree Town. Here we go! Get on down to Tree Town. We can live free then, rocking all night long through the weekend. Pop a top on Friday night, we won't stop till the morning light. I've been waiting for that music, throwing back, let's get right to it. Let's roll down that highway now, get on down to Tree Town. We're singing, whoa, 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 let's go to Tree Town, get on down to Tree Town. All right. Lily, what'd you think?
That's awesome. It sounds great, guys. So I'm going to ask you two kind of questions related to maybe to sports, but mostly music. Have you ever had stage fright? And do you still get stage fright? Because, you know, I'll give you my experiences. Like, as a kid, I couldn't get up in front of my class and give a report. I couldn't do it. I just froze. I absolutely froze. And the first time I ever did a 50,000-watt radio station, I was just sweating bullets. And, it's like everything I've ever done in my life, I was scared to death to do. And the first time I ever played live in a band, I was scared to death. And I just got used to it all. And did you guys ever go through that stage, or were you always just born rock stars who wanted to get up and get attention?
Absolutely. I still get nervous and scared. I think if you don't, you don't care. I think I've had it where when you're singing, you're so flustered you can forget the lyrics, and I've done that before, and I've shit the bed and embarrassed myself. But I think you don't get better unless you just got to get out there and do it, and I just think that's all part of it. But yeah, I learned there's a lot of singers will forget lyrics, but if you just keep going and act confident.
Believe me, I've learned that one.
People, I would say, most people have no idea, especially if it's an original song. They just think that it's part of the tune.
Yeah.
Your bandmates don't think that, but...
Yeah, well, our bass player and our drummer are veterans. They're pros. They played with a lot of bands. They played in the Rhinestone Diplomats when they're not playing in my band. And that's what they, when we started playing it, they said, listen, if we screw up, just pretend we didn't screw up. Just keep going forward. And 90% of the people out there will not know, or if they know, they might not care. And so, we played here a couple times last month, and the first time we played a set list we were really familiar with, and really didn't screw up too much. Other than my lead guitar started playing song A when we were all ready to play song B, so we just kind of looked and said, "Okay, we're playing song A." But then the second time we played a song that we had only practiced like once or twice, and I was like, oh, screw it. Let's do it. I love this song. Let's do it. And we butchered it. We absolutely butchered it. And I'm up there with a red face going, God, this stinks. We just started killing this song. And I walked down afterward, and everybody's like, hey, that sounded pretty good. I said, you never know. You never know. But it's best to plead ignorance and just move forward, I think. Well, this is a good chance for you to plug anything you want to plug. Tell me about your latest album, new album, what you're working on, what's up next, what's your next, when you're next playing live, when you're going to Nashville. Anything you want to plug, do it now.
Well, I think music fans in general are really going to appreciate this Treetown Music Festival. I would say that would be the big thing, just because we're
dates again. I know you mentioned
it's May 21st through the 24th.
Cool.
And I think that a festival of that caliber, it's really close to the Twin Cities, and so you can drive down there. If you want to go for a day, you can go for a day. If you want to party all weekend, I mean, honestly, the people watching alone was worth the.
I can imagine.
I mean, people are starting to booze in the morning, so the later the shows get, I mean, by the end of the night, it's pretty entertaining. But I would say that, and
you gotta share the story about the guy in the scooter pulling his friend around in a wheelchair. They were hooked up.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I don't even know how you describe this, man. It was Larry the Cable Guy would have a blast at the amount of debauchery down there. But I would plug. So if you go to YouTube, we have a new music video for that song, that original one, called Treetown. So it's on YouTube. Treetown, The Last Ride would be what we'd appreciate. And then you can see all of our other music on YouTube and videos. And
you have a website, too, because I looked that up
TheLastRideBand.com. And we're very appreciative that you let us come on, and you are very supportive
you guys doing it.
Of music, and that's obvious, and we're very grateful. We wanted to play with you at the Alive and Social on Wednesday nights, and they canceled it. So I don't know.
There will be other opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing's growing. I know the network, when the network started up, I was getting a couple hundred listens, and the network is getting a couple thousand listens. Now we're getting like 50,000 downloads a month. My shows are getting, 13, 15, 1,600 listens, and it's growing. It's growing month by month, and we want to do more. Obviously we have to, I think the sports will pay the bills, but we want to use that as a way to also promote good local music, to give people some exposure. And you can't listen. I work in sports. You can't do all sports all the time. There are other facets of life. I want to get into music. I love talking about music. I love talking about performers. I love talking about the artistic mindset. So anything we can do to help you, we will. And one of these days, we will play together. We'll get together, practice a little bit, and play a couple songs someplace.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Let me kind of wrap things up here. This is the Alive.
Thank you so much.
This is the Alive and Social Network. My guests tonight are the Last Ride Band. You can find them at thelastrideband.com. I want to thank O'Gara's Irish Pub in St. Paul off Snelling for hosting us, as always. Basically Friday nights when I'm in town. I have a crazy travel schedule coming up, but when I'm in town, we'll do Friday nights at O'Gara's, mostly sports, some music. Sometimes my band will play here too. My band's name is the Bar Chords. We're not as good as the last Ride, but we aren't really trying to be, so that's okay. I want to thank my other sponsors, Kieran's Irish Pub, the local Irish Pub. The last sports podcast I did was Wednesday night at the local with Michael Russo. Which I got into Michael, my guy. He's our hockey writer at the paper. Patrick Waugh, the Avalanche coach, tried to call him out and accuse him of inciting a riot, which was false, but it's also hilarious because I get to tease Michael about that. So that was a good show.
That sounds great.
I would actually recommend go back and listen to that one. That was pretty good. Did a bunch of podcasts from spring training. My last few were Torrey Hunter, who is funny as hell, Eddie Guardado, who is both funny and disgusting as hell. I won't repeat the story he told me. Did Dave St. Peter, Glenn Perkins, did a podcast with Glenn Perkins on his life and time in baseball. I've also taped some with Doug Minkiewicz, with Terry Ryan, Rob Anthony, with Gene Glynn, who grew up in Minnesota, was a Minnesota Mr. Basketball, and now is coach for the Twins.
Wow.
I got a few others I'm going to run later this month, sporadically. And on Monday, after Selection Sunday, Quincy Lewis, the former Gopher basketball star, will join me at Kieran's at 5 o'clock on Monday to talk NCAA hoops and the Timberwolves and everything else. So, once again, thank you to everybody for listening. Lots more good stuff to find at SouhanUnfiltered.com. Thank you to the Last Ride Band for bringing their whole crew out here tonight and putting up with me. And we'll be seeing you guys again soon. Thanks again.
Yes, thank you so much.
Appreciate
guys.
you, Jim.
Talk to y'all soon.
Have a good weekend.